Hi, I'm Sam, and I have epilepsy, and we could talk for hours about my last 22 years of seizures and what it's done with my life and my medical health as it's progressively gotten worse and worse in terms of volume of attacks, severity of attacks. But you know what? I'd rather talk right now about what's been helping me stop the attacks. I've been 42, I'm 42 years old now, started about age 18, the attacks, and been through just about every medication on the market. The very first one the doctors wanted to put me on back in the 80s was phenobarbital, which was the first medication ever put together for epilepsy. And I had done my research before I went to my first doctor, and you know, it was lauded as a great medication for stopping attacks, but when you looked at its record, about 15 years after it was put on the market and people started taking it, they started realizing it was destroying vital organs. So they don't know what these medications are going to do in the long run, even though they overstuff a rat. So I'd been through a number of different medications dealing with the side effects, which sometimes I felt were worse than having the attacks, being sick, putting on 10, 15 pounds, bumping into walls from loss of depth perception. And at one point, I was a test patient on a medication after I'd used everything up on the market at that time. And that didn't work for 6, 8 months or so. And the doctor said, well, let's try mixing this medication with the first one you were on, Dilantin. And I said, do you know what's going to happen when these two come together? Because when I was in 8th grade, I had a science teacher who said, watch how you can stick your finger in this and you can stick your finger in that. You mix them. And if you put your finger in that, you're going to burn it. So I asked a doctor, I said, so what is going to happen when these two medications come together in my stomach? Have you ever fed them and given them to a rat? And he looked at me and he laughed. He actually smiled because he was excited, because he was the test doctor. He said, no, you're the first one. And I said, no, I'm not. I said, we don't know what this is going to do when it hits my stomach. You know, a year later, the American Medical Association approved that medication, and in the first 7 days it was on the market, 11 people died because it was added prescription to something else they were taking. At that point, I tried cannabis. And from recommendations from other people and from my mother telling me, you know what, don't worry about the law, worry about your health. And it made a very big difference. It reduced the volume of attacks. And I was only taking one inhale every night before bed, and the volume and severity dropped. And if I felt an attack coming on, I'm very lucky. I feel a seizure start down here, it progresses up through my system, and I can have anywhere from 10 seconds up to a full minute before it completely overtakes my brain and I go unconscious and into spasms. So if I'm able to get to my pipe and just take one inhale, 2 years now, every single time the attack has stopped. And it stopped and I feel it just drain out of my system. But I can't carry my pipe with me, and I have to hide it somewhere in my house. So I still have all my attacks out on the street, on the bus, on the train, walking down the sidewalk. And I can't even get to it in time at home because I have to hide it somewhere in my home. So if you make it legal and I can carry my pipe with me, I can start to have a normal life, get back to working again with normal jobs, and just take an inhale when I feel an attack coming on, take a moment, take a breath, and keep moving on instead of falling to the ground and waking up in the middle of an ambulance. So do me a favor and let me have the one medication that I know works and that hasn't killed anybody for 8,000 years. Thanks.